Hi, I'm Michael, and this is Carelifornia. And as we begin another week of deliberations and negotiations about the next round of stimulus packages, the clock is ticking and getting closer and closer to the end of September when all this will come to a head. Primarily because at the end of September is when the continuing resolution bill, a bill to fund the country, must be passed. And all sides, Senate Republicans, House Democrats, and the President will have to come to an agreement or suddenly let the lights go out in the country. But by the looks of it, the end of September might as well be years away rather than just a month away. Also, there still seems to be lead in the shoes of FEMA, who have still not approved 10 states for Trump's extended $300 unemployment benefits. So tonight we're doing a stimulus package update and talking about the 10 states who can't seem to get approved for their Trump $300 extended unemployment benefits. Now this is your 5-minute nightly dose. So let's make this quick. But before we do that, if you like this information, if you find it interesting, if you find it helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. Last week we had left off the stimulus negotiation where Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, and Mark Meadows had a 27-minute phone call to discuss possible ways to come together on the next stimulus package. Now, of course, there was no discernible progress through this call, but the key sticking point seems to be the inability for Republicans to go along with the $2.2 trillion stimulus package that Democrats want to pass via their slimmed-down HEREOS Act. The reason being is that even at $2.2 trillion, which is still $1 trillion less than the original price tag of the HEREOS Act at $3.2 trillion, it's still well above what Republican senators want to spend. In fact, at the moment, the Republican Senate are just barely able to agree on a $500 billion skinny version of the Republican HEALS Act. And even that is being met with a lot of Republican no's. So at this point, in this tragic impasse, as Nancy Pelosi refers to it, there are really only three options. One is to not pass a stimulus package, which is the hope of many Senate Republicans. Two is Republicans can try to pass their own $500 billion bill, which would not make it through the House. Or Republicans and Democrats can meet halfway in the middle for a vote for the $2.2 trillion bill that Pelosi is proposing. My intuition says it will be the last of the three, once everyone's back is up against the deadline and voters are demanding some sort of stimulus help. Now, my reason for this optimism is if we stop looking at all the blunder and bluster coming out of the mouths of all sides and just start looking at what they are doing, it appears that the House, the Senate, and the White House are slowly starting to drift together at a continental pace. Democrats, they started at a $3.4 trillion proposal, and Republicans, they started at a no. Republicans went to a $1 trillion proposal, and the White House just seems to be concerned with specific protections like evictions, stimulus checks, and unemployment. Then Democrats moved to a $2.2 trillion proposal, and Republicans have dropped down to a $500 billion proposal. But at least it's something that Republican Senate can all agree on, even if it is unreasonably small, even for Republicans. But the White House is willing to push for a $1.3 trillion stimulus bill. So as the pressure mounts, we see that the parties on all sides are actually starting to get closer. And yes, even though they are still fighting with each other, they are still sitting at the table. So maybe I spent too many Thanksgivings sitting around these kinds of tables, but in the end, with enough turkey and enough vino, everybody eventually starts to get to a point where they can find something they can agree on. I just hope we will be getting a stimulus package before we start carving up that turkey. Finally tonight, over the last month, most states in our great union have applied for Trump's $300 extended unemployment benefits. And initially, those states who applied early, Arizona, Louisiana, Missouri, Montana, Tennessee, and Texas, were able to get their applications approved and funds sent out within a week or two of them applying. But at the moment, there are still 10 states who have applied who are still waiting on approval to the funds for their $300 Trump extended unemployment benefits. These states are Delaware, Kansas, Nebraska, Nevada, New Jersey, North Dakota, South Carolina, and Wisconsin. Oh, and Washington, D.C. Not a state, but still waiting on approval. but it's unclear what is the holdup from FEMA for these 10 states. But the reality of the situation is that each week in delay for approval, there's between 3 and 8 weeks of additional delay that states are still going to have to wait afterward to try to prepare their systems to pay out the $300 extended unemployment benefits, which means that a lot of people who are currently unemployed are going to have to struggle through up to 2 more months before they can get the extra benefits they surely need and that have been promised by the president. Overall, it's easy to be pessimistic about the whole situation, but I think that there is some silver lining to these thunderous clouds. There's tons of talk and doom and gloom about the prospects of a stimulus deal, but looking at the actions of the parties, it seems like they are getting closer and closer to some sort of agreement. And with another looming deadline at the end of September, it only adds the impetus to get something done. But that is not to say that our representatives are not to blame for dragging this fight out and the unemployment situation that they themselves caused by shutting down our economy. Even if it was necessary, it's still up to them to try to hold us over until we can get back on our feet and the economy gets up and running again. This has been your 5-minute nightly dose, and I hope that you found it interesting or helpful or at least useful. And if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. Also, we here at Carelifornia, we know health insurance. So if you have any questions about your health insurance, leave those down below. We'll be happy to make a new video or a new post as soon as we can. Now, other than that, I'm Michael, and this is Carelifornia, wishing you a happy, healthy day.